Hello, sleepyheads. Welcome back to our cozy corner of ancient tales. Tonight, as the world settles into slumber, we're journeying to a time before time to witness creation itself. Our story, The First Humans, unveils how two pieces of driftwood, Ask and Embla, were lovingly shaped by the gods, imbued with life, consciousness, and their very purpose. It's a gentle reminder of our beginnings, a beautiful myth to drift off to. But just before we begin, if our stories help you drift off, please tap the like and subscribe buttons. In my channel, you can find Norse, Greek, and Egyptian mythology tales. Comment and tell me which myth you'd like to hear next. Your support helps us craft and shape more calm stories for fellow night owls. And now let your shoulders sink softly into the mattress and your mind drift into today's tale. The air hung still. It was a profound stillness. Before all things, there was only the void. It stretched out, boundless and deep. This was Ginnungagap, the yawning chasm. To its north, a cold mist swirled. This was Niflheim, the realm of ice. It pulsed with ancient, frozen rivers. They flowed from the wellspring Virgilmere. To its south, a fiery expanse burned. This was Muspelheim, the realm of fire. It roared with consuming heat. Sparks flew from its molten heart. For ages, these forces contended. Ice met fire, fire met ice. They sculpted the emptiness between them. A slow, cosmic dance unfolded. Then a new thing happened. The ice began to melt. Drops of water formed. They trickled into the void. These drops held a strange power. They carried the essence of both realms. From their mingling, life stirred. A being began to take shape. This was Ymir, the first frost giant. He was immense, primordial. From his body, more life emerged. A cow, Audhumla, nourished him. Audhumla licked the salty ice. From her licking, another form arose. Bor, a god, was born. He was strong and purposeful. Bor had 3 sons. Their names echoed through the void. They were Odin, Vili, and Ve. These 3 were powerful gods. They looked upon Ymir. They saw his vastness. They saw his slumbering form. A great idea took hold. From Ymir's body, they would build. They would craft a world. They would shape the cosmos itself. Their work began in earnest. Ymir's flesh became the earth. His bones formed the mountains. His blood flowed into the seas. The oceans stretched out, wide and deep. His hair became the trees. They sprouted from the soil. His brain became the clouds. They drifted across the sky. His skull became the heavens. It arched high above. 4 dwarves held it up. They stood at the cardinal points. From his eyebrows, a fence was built. This enclosed a special place. It would be called Midgard. It was meant for new life. The world was now formed. 9 realms took their places. They spun around the central tree, Yggdrasil. Its branches reached far. Asgard, the realm of the gods, sat highest. Jotunheim, for the giants, lay beyond. Ulfheim housed the light elves. Svartalfheim held the dark elves. Niflheim and Muspelheim remained. Helheim was for the dead. Vanaheim for the Vanir gods. And Midgard, now empty, waited. Odin, Honir, and Lothar stood. They were the three Aesir gods. Vili and Ve had faded. Their essence merged with the new world. Odin, the All-Father, was wise. His eyes saw all things. Honir was silent, thoughtful. He walked with long, slow strides. Lothar was vibrant, energetic. He moved with a youthful grace. They walked upon the shores of Midgard. The land was still fresh. The air smelled of new earth. It carried the scent of wet stone. A gentle breeze rustled. It stirred the nascent forests. "Look," Odin said, his voice deep. It resonated with ancient power. "The world is truly beautiful." His gaze swept the horizon. Honir nodded, his expression serene. "It is vast, brother." He picked up a smooth, gray stone. He turned it in his hand. Lothar skipped ahead slightly. He knelt by a clear stream. He dipped his fingers in the water. It was cool and pure. "But it feels empty," Lothar mused. His brow furrowed slightly. "There is no true song here." He looked at the silent trees. Odin walked to a tall cliff. He gazed out at the endless sea. Waves lapped gently at the shore. They whispered soft secrets. "The work is not complete," Odin agreed. His voice held a hint of longing. "The world breathes, but it does not live." He felt a strange ache. Honir joined them by the water. "The land is fertile," he observed. "The sky is clear and wide." His eyes scanned the great expanse. "Yet it lacks a purpose," Lothar added. He tossed a small pebble. It skipped across the water. Then it sank without a trace. They walked for many days. They traversed the new landscapes. Mountains rose majestically. Valleys stretched out below. Great rivers flowed to the sea. Lakes shimmered like jewels. Forests grew dense and green. Flowers bloomed in quiet meadows. The sun, a fiery orb, crossed the sky. The moon, a pale disk, followed. Stars glittered like scattered diamonds. Night brought a cool stillness. They sat by a crackling fire. It warmed the cool night air. Odin stared into the flames. His thoughts were far away. "We gave it form," Odin murmured. "We gave it structure and light." He sighed, a soft, deep sound. "But not a heart." Honir drew patterns in the dust. "The animals roam," he said. "The birds fly in the air." He gestured to the surrounding woods. "But they act on instinct," Lothar countered. He poked the fire with a stick. "They do not ponder or dream." His words hung in the air. The silence that followed was heavy. It was filled with unspoken thoughts. The world was alive, yet lifeless. It was a beautiful paradox. They continued their journey. They explored every corner, from the highest peaks to the deepest valleys. They saw wonders untold. They saw the great waterfalls. They plunged with thunderous roars. They saw the vast, silent deserts. They stretched to the distant horizon. They saw the vibrant coral reefs. They teemed with aquatic life. They saw the ancient, gnarled trees. They stood like silent sentinels. Each day brought new sights. Each night brought new reflections. The world was a masterpiece, but it was an unfinished one. Odin felt a growing unease, a sense of incompleteness. He longed for something more, something to fill the silence. Honir, ever observant, noticed this. "Brother, your thoughts weigh heavily." His voice was gentle and calm. "What troubles your spirit?" Odin looked up, his eye distant. "This world," he began slowly. "It is magnificent, yes." He paused, searching for words. "But it is merely a stage," he continued. "A grand, empty stage." He looked at his brothers. "It needs actors." Lather nodded thoughtfully. "It needs beings who can appreciate it." His eyes glowed with a nascent idea. "Beings who can feel joy and sorrow," Honir added quietly. "Beings who can choose." His words were soft, yet profound. Beings with free will. They stood on a high cliff. The wind whipped around them. Below, the ocean stretched. Its waves crashed rhythmically. "We gave them life," Odin said. He spoke of the animals, but not the spark of consciousness. He felt a deep yearning. Lather paced restlessly. "We are gods," he declared. "We have the power to create." His voice held a rising excitement. "But what form should they take?" Honir pondered. He looked at the surrounding nature. What shape would be most fitting? Odin closed his eye. He listened to the wind. He felt the earth beneath his feet. He opened his eye, a new vision forming. "They should walk upright," Odin began. His voice gained strength. "They should look to the stars." He envisioned their posture. "They should have hands to craft," Lather added eagerly. "And voices to sing." His imagination soared. "And minds to reason. And hearts to feel," Honir concluded. His gaze was serene. "To love and to hope." He saw their emotional depth. They walked along the water's edge. A strange object lay on the sand. It was a long, smooth piece of driftwood. It had been shaped by the sea. Another piece lay nearby. It was different, yet similar. Both were without branches or bark, just smooth, pale wood. Odin stopped. He bent down. He touched the first piece. It felt cool and ancient. "Look here," he said softly. His voice held a new reverence. "These are the forms." He gestured to the wood. Honir knelt beside him. He examined the driftwood. "They are simple," he observed, "yet full of potential." Lather touched the second piece. "They are like us," he mused, "but smaller, more fragile." He felt a connection. Odin stood up. His gaze was distant. "From these we shall create." His voice was firm, resolute. "We shall give them life." Honir picked up the first log. It was an ash tree. Its wood was strong and resilient. It symbolized endurance. Lather lifted the second. It was an elm tree. Its wood was flexible and graceful. It symbolized adaptability. They brought the logs to a clearing. They laid them side by side. The wood was still and silent. It awaited their power. Odin approached the first log. He stood over it. His hands glowed faintly. A deep hum filled the air. He breathed into the wood. His breath carried the essence of life. He gave it the spirit. He gave it the soul. The log stirred imperceptibly. A faint warmth emanated. It was the first sign of awakening, the beginning of being. Honir stepped forward. He stood over the second log. His hands, too, began to glow. A quiet energy pulsed. He gave it the mind. He gave it the power of thought. He gave it the ability to reason. He gave it memory. The second log also trembled. A faint light flickered. It was the dawning of consciousness, the birth of intellect. Lather came last. He stood between them. His hands burst with vibrant light. A joyous energy filled the space. He gave them the senses. He gave them sight and hearing. He gave them the touch and the taste. He gave them the warmth of blood. He gave them emotion. He gave them joy and sorrow. He gave them love and fear. He gave them the spark of passion. The logs began to shift. They softened and changed. The rough wood smoothed. It took on a new form. Fingers emerged from the ends. Toes sprouted from the bases. Limbs extended, long and graceful. They were no longer mere wood. Hair grew upon their heads. Eyes opened, wide and curious. Lips parted, ready to speak. They were almost complete. One was male, the other female. They lay side by side. Their chests rose and fell gently. They breathed the air of Midgard. Odin looked upon them. A profound sense of peace settled. Ask, he whispered softly. They are called Ask. Honir looked at the other. And Imbla, he added. She is Imbla. Their names resonated with destiny. They were the first humans. They lay on the grass. The sun shone upon them. A new era had begun. The gods stood back. They watched their creations. A silence fell over the clearing. It was a silence of awe. The world seemed to hold its breath. The trees stood still. The wind ceased its rustling. All waited for their awakening. Ask stirred first. His eyes fluttered open. He blinked at the light. He saw the sky above him. He saw the green trees. He saw the blue stream. He saw the vast world. A wonder filled his gaze. Imbla awoke next. Her eyes opened slowly. She saw Ask beside her. She saw the three figures standing. She felt the warmth of the sun. She felt the softness of the grass. She felt a strange, new sensation. It was the feeling of being. They looked at each other. A spark of recognition passed. They were not alone. They were connected. Odin smiled, a rare sight. His heart felt full. The emptiness was gone. The world had found its voice. Honir felt a quiet contentment. His work was done. The balance was struck. Life had begun to flourish. Lather beamed, his face alight. His energy was infectious. The world was now vibrant. It pulsed with new meaning. The air hummed with possibility. The trees whispered ancient secrets. The sun shone a little brighter. Midgard was no longer truly empty. The first humans stirred. They took their first breath. They felt the world around them. They were ready to begin. The gods watched on. Their task was fulfilled. The foundation was laid. The story had truly begun. This was the dawn of humanity. It was a moment of grace, a testament to creation, a whisper in the void. The gentle lapping of waves continued. Odin, Vili, and Vi walked along the shore. Their bare feet sank slightly. Soft sand cushioned each step. The air smelled of salt and something wild. It was a fresh, untamed scent. Sunlight dappled through distant leaves. The forest edge beckoned them closer. They had journeyed far from Asgard. Midgard stretched before them, a world untold. Its beauty was stark. It was unrefined. Yet, it held a profound grace. Tall trees stood like ancient sentinels. Their branches reached for the sky. Some were gnarled, twisted by time. Others were straight, reaching upwards. Vili pointed to a cluster of pines. Look how they pierce the clouds. His voice was a soft murmur. It barely disturbed the quiet. Vi nodded, gazing in awe. And the colors, he added, such deep greens and earthy browns. He touched a nearby fern. Its fronds were delicate. Odin watched them both. His mind considered their words. This world was raw, a canvas. What would become of it? They walked on, the forest drawing nearer. The sand gave way to pebbles. Then, a rich, dark earth appeared. It was covered with fallen leaves. Moss grew in emerald patches. It clung to the rough bark. A tiny stream trickled past. Its water was crystal clear. Vili knelt beside it. He cupped his hands. He drank deeply from the coolness. This water is sweet, he declared. Vi dipped a finger into the stream. He watched the ripples spread. Every part of Midgard, he mused, holds its own delight. His brow furrowed slightly. Odin paused at the forest's edge. He surveyed the vast expanse. It stretched further than the eye could see. It was a boundless tapestry. The trees themselves were magnificent. Their trunks were immense. They seemed to touch the heavens. A sense of ancientness pervaded. He ran a hand over a mossy trunk. Its surface felt cool and damp. The forest whispered secrets. It hummed with unseen life. This land is vibrant, Odin said softly. His voice held a reverence. It breathes with its own energy. He felt a deep connection. They stepped into the forest's embrace. The air grew cooler here. Sunlight filtered in dappled patterns. It danced on the forest floor. The ground was soft beneath them. It was a thick carpet of leaves. The scent of damp earth rose. It mingled with pine needles. Birds sang in the canopy. Their melodies were sweet and clear. Small creatures rustled in the undergrowth. They moved unseen among the roots. Vili reached out. He touched a slender sapling. Even the young ones are strong. He admired its resilience. Vi picked up a fallen leaf. He traced its delicate veins. Every detail is perfect, he noted. No flaw exists here. Odin walked deeper into the woods. His thoughts drifted. What potential lay hidden? What destiny awaited this world? They emerged from the trees. Another stretch of beach awaited them. This one was more secluded. It was a quiet crescent. The waves here were gentler. They kissed the shore softly. The sand was finer, almost white. It sparkled under the sun. A gentle breeze stirred the air. It carried the scent of the sea. They walked along the water's edge. Their footsteps left imprints. Odin stopped abruptly. His gaze fell upon something. Two distinct shapes lay ahead. They rested on the wet sand. Vili and Vi followed his gaze. Their expressions grew curious. What had caught Odin's eye? What lay before them? They were two pieces of driftwood. They had been tossed by the waves. They were unlike any other wood. Their forms were remarkable. One piece was long and slender. It was pale in color. It seemed to glow faintly. Its grain was smooth and fine. The other was more robust. It was darker, almost brown. Its shape was fuller, more rounded. It had a sturdy appearance. Odin approached them slowly. He knelt beside the first piece. It was clearly ash wood. Its spirit felt vibrant. He traced its smooth contours. He felt its inherent strength. This wood had endured much. It had journeyed far. Then he turned to the second piece. This was elm wood. It felt grounded, resilient. It held a quiet dignity. Its surface was rougher, yet it possessed a warmth. It spoke of steadfastness. It had weathered many storms. Vili knelt beside Odin. He examined the ash wood. It has a graceful line, he observed, almost like a living thing. Vi studied the elm wood. He ran his hand over its grain. And this one, he remarked, feels so sturdy. He felt its deep roots. Odin looked from one to the other. A thought began to form. It was a faint whisper at first. Then it grew clearer. These were not just pieces of wood. They were more than that. They held a special essence. They were gifts from the sea. They are different, Odin murmured. His voice was thoughtful. Yet they lie side by side. He saw their complementary nature. Vili considered his words. One is light, he mused. The other is dark. He saw the contrast. Vi added, one is slender. The other is broad. He noted their distinct shapes. Odin gently touched the ash wood. It felt cool beneath his fingers. He imagined its journey. He felt its enduring spirit. Then he touched the elm. It was warm and solid. He sensed its deep wisdom. It spoke of resilience. A profound realization dawned. It illuminated his mind. These forms were not random. They held a deeper meaning. They are perfect, Odin stated. His voice was quiet. Perfect in their differences. He saw their inherent balance. Vili looked at the driftwood. He looked at Odin. A question was in his eyes. What did Odin see? Vi watched Odin closely. He sensed a shift. Something profound was happening. new idea was stirring. Odin looked at the vast ocean. Its waves rolled endlessly. He looked at the towering forest. It stood in silent majesty. Midgard was a world of potential. It was a blank slate. Yet, it was filled with life. It teemed with vitality. "This world is beautiful," Odin said. His gaze swept over the landscape. "But it is empty of one thing." He paused for a moment. Vili waited patiently. Vi leaned in slightly. They sensed the importance. They awaited his revelation. "It lacks consciousness," Odin declared. His voice was soft. "It lacks a self-awareness." He saw the void. The animals lived by instinct. The plants grew by nature. But there was no reflection. There was no understanding. "It needs a mind," Odin continued, "a heart to feel." He looked at the two pieces of wood. A vision sparked. Vili's eyes widened slightly. He began to grasp it. A flicker of understanding. A nascent idea. Vi's lips parted. He seemed to hold his breath. The air grew still around them. The moment was sacred. Odin looked at the ash wood. Its slender form. Its pale, graceful lines. He saw a shape emerging. He looked at the elm wood. Its sturdy form. Its dark, grounded nature. He saw another form. "From these," Odin whispered, "we can create." His voice was filled with purpose. Something new, something living. He felt a divine impulse. Vili's gaze shifted. He saw the ash wood differently. It was no longer just wood. It was a vessel. Vi looked at the elm wood. He saw its potential. It too was a vessel. It held possibility. "They are waiting," Odin said. His voice was firm now. "Waiting for us to breathe life." He felt an overwhelming urge. The sun was high above them. Its warmth enveloped them. The gentle breeze played. It rustled through the leaves. The ocean continued its rhythm. A constant, soothing sound. Midgard lay before them, untouched, yet ready. Odin stood up slowly. He looked at Vili and Vi. His eyes held a deep knowing. His purpose was clear. "We shall begin here," Odin stated. His voice was resolute. "On this very shore." He gestured to the driftwood. Vili nodded, a quiet affirmation. He understood. His heart swelled with awe. He felt the gravity of it. Vi met Odin's gaze, a profound sense of destiny. He too felt the call. He was ready to assist. This was their sacred task, to bring forth life, to fill Midgard's emptiness, to give it consciousness. The two pieces of driftwood lay, silent, unassuming. Yet they held infinite potential. They awaited their transformation. Odin looked at the ash wood again. He saw its elegance. He envisioned its form, a human shape. Then he looked at the elm. Its strength resonated. He saw its complementary form, another human shape. "They will be called Ask and Imblad," Odin declared. His voice was a solemn vow. The first of their kind. He named them. Vili's mind raced. He imagined the forms. The details began to emerge, the intricate workings. V felt a surge of energy. His hands twitched slightly. He was eager to begin, to shape the raw material. The air around them seemed to shimmer. A subtle shift in energy. The very elements responded. They acknowledged the divine intent. Odin felt a deep sense of peace. His intuition was strong. This was the right path. This was their calling. He knelt once more. He ran his hand over the ash wood. It felt alive under his touch. It vibrated with dormant power. Then he touched the elm. It too pulsed, a silent, powerful hum. It resonated with the earth. Vili began to sketch in the sand. He used a fallen twig. He drew outlines of figures, rough, nascent forms. V watched him, offering suggestions. He pointed to certain curves. He spoke of proportions. He considered the details. Odin observed them both. Their collaboration was seamless. They understood his vision. They shared his purpose. The sun began its slow descent. The sky turned to hues of gold. The ocean reflected the light. It shimmered with warmth. Still, they remained on the shore, immersed in their thoughts, planning and visioning, preparing for creation. The driftwood lay patiently, bathed in the fading light. It awaited its new purpose. It awaited its awakening. Odin felt a deep connection to Midgard, its raw beauty, its untamed wilderness. It was a world of promise, and now it would receive a gift, the gift of self-awareness, the gift of choice, the gift of life. The breeze picked up slightly. It whispered through the trees. It carried the scent of the sea, a silent blessing. Vili looked up at Odin. His eyes shone with excitement. "When do we begin?" he asked softly. His voice was eager. V looked at the sky. The stars would soon appear. "The night will be long," he mused, "but our work will be greater." Odin smiled, a rare expression. His face softened. "Soon," he replied, "when the time is right." He felt a sense of anticipation. The moment was ripe with possibility. The air was charged. A new chapter was about to unfold. On the shores of Midgard, the two pieces of driftwood, ash and elm, they held the future. They held the very essence of humanity. Odin, Vili, and V, the architects of creation. They stood ready to breathe life into the void. The gentle lapping of waves continued. A lullaby for the emerging world. A promise whispered on the breeze. The first humans would soon awaken. The sea's gentle sigh had quieted. A hush fell over the shore. The three gods stood silent. They gazed down at the driftwood. It lay still. It lay expectant. Its rough forms waited. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. A soft, cool breeze drifted by. It rustled the sparse shore grasses. Not a single bird dared to sing. Even the distant waves whispered. They barely brushed the sand. Odin stepped forward then. His stride was slow. It was deliberate. He moved with quiet majesty. His one eye, keen and deep, surveyed the figures. It held ancient wisdom. It held profound purpose. He paused beside the forms. They lay inert, unmoving. They were mere wood. Yet, something within them called. It called for life. It called for spirit. It yearned for existence. His cloak, dark as a winter night, barely stirred. The silver clasp at his shoulder gleamed faintly. It caught the pale, watery light. A sense of immense power gathered. It emanated from him. It filled the space. He raised his hands slowly. They were strong hands. They were weathered hands. They had shaped worlds. They had wielded fate. Now, they prepared for another creation. They prepared for a miracle. A low hum began. It vibrated in the air. It was not a sound heard with ears. It was felt deep within the chest. It resonated with the very earth. It was the hum of primal magic. Odin closed his eyes. A profound stillness settled upon him. His brow furrowed slightly. He concentrated his immense will. He focused his ancient power. He drew upon the wellspring of life. His breath other began to stir. It gathered within him. It was the essence of spirit. It was the spark of consciousness. It was the very breath of being. It was the animating force. He opened his eyes again. They gleamed with an inner light. It was a light of creation. It was a light of profound purpose. It was the light of life itself. He leaned closer to the figures. He exhaled then. It was a deep, resonant breath. It was a breath from the depths of time. It was a breath filled with spirit. It flowed from his lips. It drifted towards the driftwood. The first breath, soft as a summer breeze, touched the male figure. It swirled around its head. It caressed its shoulders. It entered its wooden form. It was a gentle invasion. A faint warmth bloomed. It spread through the rough wood. It was a subtle heat. It was barely perceptible, but it was there. It was the first sign of life's awakening. A slight tremor went through the figure. It was a tiny vibration. It was like a leaf shivering. It was almost mist, but it was the wood responding. It was the spirit settling. Then a gentle rise and fall began. It was slow. It was rhythmic. It mimicked the motion of breathing. It was shallow at first. Then it deepened almost imperceptibly. The wooden chest expanded. Odin's breath continued to pour forth. It flowed steadily, profoundly. It was a continuous stream. It was pure spirit. It was the gift of Other. It infused the driftwood. The warmth intensified. It spread to the limbs. It reached the hands. It touched the feet. The entire figure began to glow faintly. It was an inner luminescence. The tremors grew stronger. They rippled through the wood. The joints seemed to loosen. The rigid posture softened. The figure was becoming less stiff. It was beginning to live. The breathing became more pronounced. It was still silent. There was no sound of air, but the movement was clear. The chest rose and fell. It was a living rhythm. Odin moved to the female figure. He knelt beside her. His gaze was unwavering. His purpose was clear. He would bestow the same gift. He would give her life. He exhaled again. This breath, too, was deep. It was full of the same spirit. It flowed with the same intent. It enveloped the female form. It entered her being. The same warmth spread through her. It was a comforting heat. It chased away the coldness. It banished the inertness. It warmed her from within. Life began to stir. A tremor, delicate and soft, ran through her. It was like a fragile awakening. It was a gentle shiver. It was the wood responding. It was the spirit settling. Her chest, too, began to rise and fall. It was a quiet rhythm. It was a calm motion. It was the breath of life. It was a testament to Other. It was a new beginning. Both figures now breathed. They were warmed. They trembled slightly. They were animated forms. They lay on the sand. They were no longer mere wood. They were something more. Odin stood back. He observed his handiwork. A profound satisfaction filled him. It was a quiet joy. It was the joy of creation. It was the success of his gift. But they were not fully alive. Not yet. Their eyes remained closed. Their faces were blank. There was no thought there. There was no emotion. They were vacant. They were like puppets. They were animated by an unseen hand. They breathed without knowing. They moved without purpose. They existed without consciousness. They were empty vessels. They were living, yes, but they did not feel. They did not think. They did not understand. They were simply bodies. They were bodies with breath. They were bodies without souls. The warmth was there. The subtle tremor was there. The gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of their chest was there. They were alive in the most basic sense. They were breathing forms, but their minds were dark. Their hearts were silent. Their spirits, though present, were unawakened. They were like sleeping giants. They waited for something more. Odin knew this. He looked at them with solemn eyes. His gift was complete. It was powerful. But it was only the first step. More was needed. More would be given. He turned to his brothers. Vili and Ve watched him. Their faces held awe. They held understanding. They knew the magnitude of his gift. They knew its limitation. The air around the figures still hummed. It was a low, vibrational sound. It spoke of nascent life. It spoke of potential. It spoke of a journey just begun. The sun, still pale, edged higher. Its light touched the scene. It illuminated the breathing figures. They lay there, strangely still despite their animation. They were a mystery. Odin's work was done. His part was played. He had given them breath. He had given them movement. He had given them the spark. But the fire was not yet lit. He stepped back fully now. His gaze remained on them. He was a creator, watching his creation. He was a father, observing his children. They were his gift to the world. The sand beneath them was undisturbed. The small shells lay scattered. The distant waves continued their whisper. The world was quiet. It waited for the next step. The male figure stirred slightly, his head tilted. It was an involuntary movement. It was without intent. It was merely the body responding. It was a reflex. The female figure stretched a limb, her arm extended. It was slow. It was deliberate, yet without purpose. It was a movement of pure animation. It was a puppet's dance. They were beautiful, even in their vacant state. Their forms were graceful. Their lines were strong. They were sculpted by the sea. Now they were animated by a god. The warmth lingered around them. It was a comforting aura. It spoke of life. It spoke of potential. It spoke of the spirit within. It was a promise. Odin closed his eyes again for a moment. He savored the stillness. He felt the energy of his gift. It pulsed in the air. It resonated with the earth. When he opened them, they were clear. They held quiet satisfaction. He had done his part. He had started the process. The rest was up to his brothers. He had given them other spirit. He had given them life. But life was more than breath. Life was more than movement. Life was more than a beating chest. Life was thought. Life was feeling. Life was purpose. Life was consciousness. These things were yet to come. They would be the gifts of Vili and Ve. The figures lay there. They were silent. They were breathing. They were waiting. They were the first humans. They were the beginning. They were the hope. The air smelled of salt and damp earth. A single seagull cried. Its call was mournful. It was a sound of the wild. It was a reminder of nature. The scene was set. The stage was ready. The first act was complete. Odin's gift had been given. The driftwood was no longer dead wood. It was infused. It was almost as if the very air sighed with relief. A tension had lifted. The creation had begun. The first step was taken. The journey had started. Odin's gaze swept over the landscape. He saw the vastness of the sea. He saw the ruggedness of the land. He saw the endless sky. He saw the future. These beings, animated by his breath, would walk this earth. They would fill it. They would shape it. They would experience it. They would live. But for now, they simply were asterisk. They existed. They breathed. They waited. Their vacant eyes held no light. Their silent lips spoke no words. They were primal. They were a testament to Odin's power. They were a testament to his will. They were a testament to his vision. He had breathed life into them. The soft hum continued around them. It was a lullaby of creation. It was a song of new beginnings. It was the sound of the world shifting. The light grew stronger. The sun began its ascent. It cast longer shadows. It painted the shore with pale gold. It illuminated the silent figures. Odin stood tall. His presence was commanding. His silence was profound. He watched over his first gift. He guarded the nascent life. He had given them the breath of life, Other. He had given them the ability to move. They were no longer inanimate objects. They were living forms, but they were still unthinking. They were still unfeeling. They were still vacant. They were merely animated bodies. The next gifts were crucial. He looked at Vili. He looked at Vey. A silent communication passed between them. The understanding was clear. The task was now theirs. The air felt charged. It tingled with energy. It thrummed with potential. The creation of humankind was underway. The first step was complete. The figures lay still. Their chests rose and fell. It was a gentle rhythm. It was a promise. It was the beginning of everything. Honir approached them slowly. His steps were soft, almost silent. He moved with a quiet reverence. A deep calm settled around him. The air itself seemed to hush. He carried a profound sense of purpose. This was a sacred task. He observed the figures carefully. They stood still, like carved wood. Their forms were rough, unrefined. Yet, a spark of life resided within. Honir felt its faint pulse. It was a nascent possibility. He knew his role now. His mind became still. It was a tranquil pool. He focused all his being. His energy gathered inward. It swirled with ancient wisdom. A gentle light emanated from him. It was unseen, yet deeply felt. He extended his hands. They glowed softly. A warm energy flowed forth. It reached the figures. It enveloped them tenderly. This was the gift of Andy. This was the breath of sense. The change began subtly. A tremor ran through Ask. His eyelids fluttered gently. They were thin and translucent. A faint light entered. It was the first glimmer of sight. His world was no longer dark. He saw shapes now. They were blurry at first. Then they gained definition. The grand tree Yggdrasil loomed. Its roots stretched deep. Its branches reached high. The vast sky unfolded above. Its colors were soft, ethereal. He saw Imblab beside him. Her form was vague, but he sensed her presence. A deep connection stirred. It was unformed, unvoiced, but it was undeniably there. He felt a stir of wonder. Embla experienced it too. Her eyes opened slowly. They were wide and new. The world unfolded before her. It was a tapestry of light. She saw the shimmering leaves. They danced in the breeze. She saw Ask standing near. His outline sharpened. A sense of warmth radiated. It was a gentle comfort. A new understanding dawned. She was not alone. There was another like her. Then the second gift arrived. It was the gift of Law *. This was the gift of form. It sculpted their bodies. It refined their features. It gave them true human shape. Their raw forms transformed. Ask's shoulders broadened. His chest expanded. His limbs grew strong. His hands became agile. His fingers elongated. They were made for grasping. They were made for touching. His face softened. His jawline firmed. His nose gained definition. His lips became full. A sense of masculinity emerged. He was distinctly male. He was truly human. And Bla's form became graceful. Her waist narrowed gently. Her hips curved softly. Her limbs became slender. Her hands were delicate. They were made for holding. They were made for nurturing. Her face became serene. Her cheekbones rose gently. Her chin gained elegance. Her lips were soft. A sense of femininity bloomed. She was distinctly female. She was truly human. Their skin became smooth. It was warm to the touch. It was sensitive to the air. They felt the gentle breeze. It caressed their faces. It whispered secrets to them. They felt the warmth of the sun. It kissed their skin softly. Their hair grew long. Ask S was dark and coarse. Bla's was light and fine. It framed their new faces. It added to their beauty. They were truly magnificent. They were the first of humankind. The sounds of the world reached them. Their ears twitched gently. They heard the rustling leaves. It was a soft, sibilant sound. They heard the distant chirping. It was a bird, unseen. They heard the gentle hum. It was the hum of life. The world sang around them. It was a lullaby of existence. Their new ears absorbed it. Each sound was a discovery. Every whisper was a marvel. Ask turned his head. His gaze was curious. He looked at Mbla. Her eyes met his. A silent recognition passed. It was a shared moment. A bond was forged. He raised a hand slowly. His fingers trembled slightly. He reached towards her. It was an instinctual movement, a longing for connection. Mbla mirrored his action. Her hand extended too. Their fingertips brushed. It was a light contact, a spark of sensation. It was soft, yet profound. A warmth spread through them. It was a quiet comfort. It was a new feeling. They felt the ground beneath. It was firm and solid. They felt the texture of bark. It was rough and resilient. They felt the smooth coolness of stone. Their sense of touch awakened. Their movements became coordinated. They were no longer stiff. Their muscles responded. They were flexible and strong. They could shift their weight. They could turn their heads. Ask took a small step. It was tentative at first. Then it gained confidence. His leg lifted slowly. His foot landed softly. He was learning to walk. He was exploring his new body. Mbla swayed gently. Her balance was true. She too took a step. It was graceful and light. Her body moved with ease. She was discovering her form. She was learning to move. They walked around the tree. Their steps were measured. They observed their surroundings. Their new senses absorbed it all. The world was vibrant. It was alive with detail. Yet their movements lacked purpose. They were exploratory acts. There was no true thought. There was no conscious intent. They moved like automatons. They were beautiful, but empty. Their faces showed nothing. No joy, no sorrow, no curiosity, no fear. Their expressions were blank. They were still unformed within. They lacked true understanding. They lacked emotion. Honir watched them. A gentle smile touched his lips. His task was complete. He had given them senses. He had given them form. He had started their journey. He knew their next stage. They needed more gifts. They needed breath and life. They needed knowledge and speech. They needed color and expression. They needed full humanity. He stepped back slowly. His presence faded. He was a silent observer. He left them to explore. He left them to learn. He left them in their new world. Ask reached out again. He touched a leaf. It was soft and green. He felt its delicate veins. He felt its cool surface. A new sensation registered. It was a feeling of wonder. Embla knelt down. She touched the earth. It was rich and dark. She felt its cool dampness. She felt the tiny pebbles. Her fingers explored the soil. It was a new texture. They heard the birds sing. It was a complex melody. Their heads tilted slightly. They listened intently. The sound filled their ears. It was pleasing and new. They saw the sunlight filter. It streamed through the leaves. It created dancing patterns. It cast long shadows. Their eyes followed the light. It was beautiful to behold. They stood together again. They looked at each other. Their eyes were wide. They were windows to new souls. They saw their reflections. They saw their shared humanity. Their bodies were perfect. They were finely tuned instruments. They could see, hear, feel. They could move and touch. They were alive in a new way, but a part was still missing. They still did not speak. No words formed on their lips. No sounds emerged from their throats. Their thoughts were unvoiced. Their feelings were unexpressed. They were silent beings. They still did not understand. The meaning of things eluded them. The purpose of their existence. The reason for their being. It was all a mystery. They were simply experiencing. They walked aimlessly. Their steps were light. They explored their immediate space. They touched everything around them. They listened to every sound. They absorbed every sight. The world was a novelty. Each moment was fresh. Each sensation was new. They were living in the present. There was no past for them. There was no future yet. They were like children, newborns in a vast world, learning through pure sensation, experiencing through pure perception. Their minds were blank slates, ready for more imprints. Honir had done well. He had laid the groundwork. He had prepared the vessel. He had instilled the senses. He had shaped the form. The next step was crucial. He knew who would come next. It would be Lother. He would bring the final gifts. He would complete their creation. He would breathe life into them. He would awaken their spirits. Ask reached for Embla's hand. His fingers intertwined with hers. It was a simple gesture, but it held profound meaning. It was a nascent connection, a desire for companionship. Embla squeezed his hand gently. A soft warmth spread. It was comforting and new. She felt a sense of belonging. She was not alone in this world. There was another, just like her. They stood hand in hand, their gaze fixed on the sky. The sun was setting now. It painted the clouds, hues of orange and pink, a breathtaking spectacle. Their new eyes absorbed it all. The colors filled their vision. It was a sensory feast. They had never seen anything like it. They had never known such beauty. Their world was expanding. With every passing moment, the air grew cooler. A gentle breeze stirred. It rustled the leaves. It whispered through the branches. They felt it on their skin. It was a soothing touch. They heard the night sounds. The crickets began to chirp. The distant hoot of an owl. The world was alive with sound, even in the fading light. Their ears were open to it all. Their bodies were tired. Their new senses overwhelmed them. They had experienced so much in such a short time. They sought repose now, a quiet place to rest. They lay down gently beneath the mighty Yggdrasil. Its roots were their bed, its branches their canopy. The earth was their cushion, the sky their blanket. They closed their eyes, but not in darkness. The images lingered, the colors, the shapes, the sounds, the sensations. Their minds replayed the day, a day of awakening. They drifted into sleep. It was a new experience, a state of unconsciousness, but filled with new input. Their minds processed it all. Their bodies rested deeply. Honir watched them sleep. A quiet satisfaction filled him. He had played his part. He had given them the first gifts. He had started their journey towards full humanity. He knew they would awaken. They would be ready for more, ready for the next stage, ready for Lothar's touch, ready for the breath of life, ready for the spirit. The night deepened around them. The stars began to twinkle, each one a distant light, each one a promise of what was yet to come for Ask and Imblad. The first humans, their forms were perfect, sculpted by divine hands. Their senses were keen, ready to perceive the world, but their inner selves awaited the final touch of creation. Honir's gift was fundamental. It built the foundation. It shaped the vessel. It opened the pathways for perception and sensation. Without it, nothing else could follow. He had instilled the Andi, the breath of sense. It allowed them to engage with their external world, to absorb its richness, to experience its complexity. He had bestowed the law asterisk, the form, the shape. It made them distinctly human. It gave them their bodies, their physical presence, their tangible existence. They were now complete, in a physical sense, ready for the next step, ready for the next gift from the third god, who would bring the spark of life. The world waited for them, awaiting their awakening, awaiting their true beginning. As conscious beings, as thinking individuals, as feeling souls, Honir smiled again, a gentle, knowing smile. His work was done here. For now, he would withdraw and prepare for the next stage. The grand plan unfolded as it was meant to. The first humans slept, bathed in starlight, surrounded by nature, protected by the gods. Their journey had just begun, a long and wondrous journey into the dawn of time. Lother stepped forward then. His gaze was kind, full of ancient light. He moved with a quiet grace. The air around him hummed softly. He reached out a hand. It glowed with a gentle warmth. This warmth was not like fire. It was deeper, more profound. He touched Ask first. His fingers brushed Ask's chest. A tremor went through the wooden form. It was a subtle, vital shift. A faint blush appeared on Ask's skin. It spread slowly, like dawn's first light. The pale wood warmed under Lother's touch. Life began to stir within. Then he touched Imbla. His touch was equally soft. Her form also gained a subtle flush. A new warmth bloomed inside her. This was the gift of law. It was the gift of blood. Blood, the river of life, began its flow. It coursed through their nascent veins. Their skin gained a natural hue. It was no longer pale wood. It was the color of human flesh. A soft, living warmth radiated from them. A gentle pulse began. It beat steadily inside each chest. This was the rhythm of a new life. It was a silent, powerful song. Then Lother moved closer still. He knelt between them. His eyes held deep understanding. He was ready to grant another gift. He placed a hand on Ask's forehead. A soft, golden light emanated. It flowed into Ask's mind. A spark ignited within. A similar light touched Imbla's brow. It bathed her in its gentle glow. Her mind, too, began to awaken. Thoughts started to form. This was the gift of gammon. It was the gift of speech. It was the ability to understand. It was the power of coherent thought. A quiet sigh escaped Ask's lips. It was a sound of wonder. His eyes opened wider. They held a new awareness. Imbla stirred beside him. Her eyelids fluttered open. Her gaze met Ask's. A silent recognition passed between them. A soft sound escaped her. It was a breath, a murmur. It was the first attempt at speech. It was a hesitant, beautiful sound. Ask turned his head slowly. He looked at Lother. A question formed in his mind. It was a silent, seeking query. Lother smiled gently. His smile was full of patience. He knew their minds were awakening. He waited for their first words. Ask tried again. A guttural sound emerged. It was rough, unformed, but it held intent. Imbla reached out a hand. Her fingers twitched slightly. She touched Ask's arm. Her touch was tentative, new. A word formed in Ask's mind. He struggled to voice it. His throat felt unfamiliar, but the urge was strong. Who he managed. The sound was raspy. It was faint but clear. It was his first spoken word. Lother's smile broadened. "You are," he whispered back. His voice was soft, reassuring. It carried ancient wisdom. Imbla's eyes widened. She looked at Ask. Then she looked at Lother. A flicker of understanding crossed her face. "We," she echoed. Her voice was softer than Ask S. It was a delicate, questioning sound. It held a nascent curiosity. "Yes," Lother confirmed. You are Ask, and you are Imblad." He spoke their names with reverence. A sense of identity settled. It was a quiet, profound realization. They had names. They were distinct beings. Ask looked at his hands. He flexed his fingers. They moved with purpose. They were no longer inert wood. He touched his face. His skin felt warm. It was smooth beneath his touch. It was undeniably real. Imblad touched her own cheek. A faint smile graced her lips. It was a new expression. It was a burgeoning joy. "Live?" she asked. Her voice gained strength. It was still soft, but it was clearer now. "Yes, live," Lother affirmed. "Live and learn. Live and feel. Live and grow." His words were a blessing. A rush of sensations overwhelmed them. They felt the cool air. They heard the gentle sounds of the world. They smelled the earthy scent of the ground. Their minds raced. Questions flooded their awareness. What was this place? Who were they? What did it all mean? This was the dawn of consciousness. It was the awakening of intellect. It was the birth of human thought. It was a moment of pure wonder. Ask looked at Imblad again. He saw her clearly now. Her features were distinct. Her eyes held a spark of life. He felt a connection to her. It was new, undefinable. It was a quiet understanding. It was the first bond. Imblad met his gaze. A silent dialogue passed between them. A shared experience. A shared beginning. Lother watched them with pride. His work was nearly complete. The final, crucial gifts were given. Humanity had begun. He stood slowly. His form seemed to shimmer slightly. The golden light around him pulsed. It was a quiet, powerful energy. "You have law," he said. His voice was deep. It resonated with ancient power. "The blood of life flows within you." He paused, allowing the words to settle. Ask and Imblad listened intently. Their minds absorbed every sound. "You have litter," he continued. "The warmth of being, the color of life. It radiates from your very essence." They felt the warmth within. It was a constant, comforting presence. It was the warmth of their own existence. It was a vital part of them. "And you have gammon," Lother concluded. His voice softened. It was filled with profound meaning. The gift of understanding, the ability to speak, to reason, to know yourselves, to know each other. He emphasized the last words. Ask looked at Imblad. He truly saw her, not just a form, but a being, a companion. Imblad reached out to him. Her hand rested on his. It was a natural, instinctive gesture, a silent acknowledgement. Lother's eyes twinkled. He saw the connection form, the first threads of human relationship, the beginning of community. He knew their journey was just starting. They would face challenges. They would experience joy and sorrow. They would learn and grow. But but they had the tools. They had the essence of life. They had the spark of consciousness. They had the capacity for love. He looked around the empty plain. The vastness no longer seemed so stark. It was now a canvas, a place for humanity to flourish. The air felt different now. It was charged with possibility. It held the echoes of their first breaths, the whispers of their first words. Ask took a deep breath. The air filled his lungs. It was cool, refreshing. He felt truly alive. And Blad did the same. A sense of awe washed over her. The world was new. Every sensation was vibrant. Lother stepped back further. He observed them silently. He gave them space to discover themselves. Ask tried to speak again. This time, his voice was stronger. "Thank you," he said. The words were clear, and Blat echoed him. "Thank you." Her voice was soft, but it held genuine emotion. It was gratitude. Lother nodded. He acknowledged their thanks. He felt a deep satisfaction. His part was complete. He began to fade slightly. His form became more ethereal. The golden light around him softened. He was preparing to depart. Ask and Imblau watched him. A quiet apprehension settled. They knew he was leaving. They were now truly on their own. But they were not alone. They had each other. They had the gifts he had bestowed. They had their nascent life. Lother's form dissolved into light. It swirled gently for a moment. Then it vanished completely, leaving only a lingering warmth. The plain was silent again, but it was a different silence. It was filled with the quiet hum of new life, the potential of humanity. Ask turned to Imblau. His eyes held a newfound depth. He reached out to her. His hand took hers. Her fingers intertwined with his. It was a perfect fit, a silent promise, a shared destiny. They stood together, two figures, no longer wood, no longer inert, but living, breathing beings. They felt the ground beneath their feet. It was solid, real. They felt the sun on their faces. Its warmth was comforting. A breeze rustled through their hair. It was a gentle caress, a welcoming touch from the world. Their minds continued to race. They processed the flood of information. The world was vast. It was full of mysteries. But they were ready. They had curiosity. They had the drive to explore. They had the capacity to learn. Ask looked up at the sky. It was a vast, blue expanse. Clouds drifted lazily across it. He felt a connection to it all. And Blah looked at the plants around them. The green leaves, the delicate flowers. Each one was a miracle. A bird sang nearby. Its melody was clear and sweet. They heard it fully. They understood its beauty. This was the beginning of their journey. The first humans, endowed with life, endowed with warmth, endowed with wisdom. They took their first steps together, hesitant at first, then more confident, exploring their new existence. The world awaited them, and they, in turn, were ready for the world. Their story had truly begun. The air was still. The sun cast long shadows. A new era had dawned, the era of humanity. They walked side by side, their hands still clasped, a silent understanding passing between them, a bond unbreakable. They were Ask and Imblath, the first of their kind, the bearers of Lothar's gifts, the inheritors of a new world. Their minds were alight with wonder. Their hearts beat with purpose. Their souls were filled with the spark of life. This was the quiet miracle, the profound transformation, the birth of consciousness, the dawn of human emotion. They felt joy, a pure, unadulterated joy for their existence, for their connection, for the world around them. They felt curiosity, a yearning to understand, to explore, to learn every secret the world held. They felt a quiet sense of peace, a deep contentment. They were exactly where they were meant to be. The vast plains stretched before them, a blank slate, ready for their imprint, ready for their story to unfold. They were ready to build, to create, to discover, to fill the world with their presence. And as they walked, a soft hum filled the air. It was the song of their new life, the melody of their existence. It was the quiet whisper of the wind, the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, all harmonizing. This was the world they had awakened into, and it was waiting for them, ready to embrace their journey. They looked at each other. A shared smile bloomed on their faces. It was a simple, profound expression. It was the beginning of everything. The first humans, standing on the precipice of a new dawn, full of hope, full of life. And so their story began. A tale of creation, a tale of awakening, a tale of humanity's first steps. The sun began its slow descent, casting long, golden rays, bathing the world in a warm, gentle light. It was a perfect ending to a perfect beginning. The world held its breath, waiting for their next move, and they, Ask and Imblath, were ready. Ready for tomorrow, ready for life, ready for their shared destiny. A soft light shimmered. It danced across the newly formed world. Ask and Imblath stood still. They felt the gentle warmth. A breeze whispered past them. It carried the scent of fresh earth. Their eyes slowly opened wider. They saw the vibrant colors. Green leaves unfurled on branches. Blue sky stretched above them. They had been dreaming. Now they were truly awake. A new feeling stirred within them. It was a gentle curiosity. What was this place? What were these sensations? They looked at each other. A shared wonder filled their gaze. Their minds began to stir. Ask shifted his weight. He felt the ground beneath his feet. It was cool and firm. A new sensation indeed. He wiggled his toes. They seemed to respond. This body was his own. He was learning its ways. Imblath mirrored his movements. She lifted a hand. Her fingers unfurled slowly. They felt soft and pliable. She touched her cheek. The skin was smooth. A faint warmth radiated from it. This was her form. She felt a deep connection. It was to this new existence. A quiet hum filled the air. It was the sound of nature. Birds chirped in the distance. A gentle stream gurgled nearby. Ask took a breath. The air was sweet. It filled his lungs completely. He felt a newfound strength. It coursed through his limbs. He wanted to move. He wanted to explore. His eyes scanned the landscape. Trees stood tall and majestic. Their branches reached for the sky. And Blah felt a similar urge. A gentle pull, perhaps. It drew her forward, her gaze fixed on a flower. Its petals were a vivid red. They unfurled in delicate layers. She longed to touch it, to feel its soft texture, to know its essence. Ask took a tentative step. One foot lifted, then the other. It was a strange coordination. His leg muscles responded. He placed his foot down. The ground felt stable. He took another step, then another. He was walking. A profound realization dawned, and Blah watched him. A smile touched her lips. She tried it herself. Her first step was wobbly. Then she found her balance. Her movements grew surer. She walked towards Ask. Their eyes met again. A silent understanding passed between them. They were moving. They were exploring. The world unfolded around them. Each new sight was a marvel. Each sound a symphony. They felt the sun on their skin. It was a comforting embrace. The cool earth beneath their feet. It grounded them gently. Ask reached out a hand. He touched the rough bark of a tree. The texture was fascinating. It was so different from his own skin. He traced the lines. He felt the life within it. A subtle vibration, perhaps. It resonated within him. And Blah knelt down. She gently touched the red flower. Its petals were velvety. A soft fragrance wafted up. It was sweet and delicate. She inhaled deeply. The scent filled her senses. It was a pure delight. This world was full of beauty. Ask looked up. The sky was an endless blue. White clouds drifted lazily. They resembled soft cotton. He wondered what lay beyond. What secrets did the heavens hold? He felt a sense of awe. It was vast and boundless. He spoke his first word. It was a soft sound, a mere whisper, perhaps. Sky, he murmured. The word felt right. It resonated with the vastness. It named the immensity above. He repeated it a little louder. Sky. And Blah looked up too. Her eyes followed his gaze. The blue expanse captivated her. She felt its gentle presence. It was a covering, a canopy. It held the sun and clouds. She smiled. Beautiful, she whispered. Her first word. Ask turned to her. Her voice was soft. It was like a melody. He liked the sound of it. He liked her word. Beautiful, he echoed. He looked at the flower, then back at the sky. Both were beautiful. The world was beautiful. They continued to walk. Their steps grew stronger. They moved with more confidence. They came upon a stream. Its water was crystal clear. It babbled over smooth stones. A gentle music filled the air. Ask knelt beside it. He dipped his hand in. The water was cool. It felt refreshing. He scooped some up. He brought it to his lips. It tasted pure. It quenched a thirst he hadn't known. Water, he said, and Blad joined him. She cupped her hands. She drank from the stream. The cool liquid invigorated her. She felt alive, more alive than ever before. Clear, she added, so clear. They sat by the stream. The sun dappled through the leaves. It cast dancing shadows. They watched a butterfly. Its wings were vibrant. They fluttered delicately. It landed on a nearby leaf. Ask pointed. Look, he said. His voice was full of wonder. It flies. He watched its graceful movements. He had never seen such a creature. And Blad nodded. Like a dream, she murmured. They talked about the butterfly. Its colors, its lightness, its freedom. Their words were simple. They were spoken with awe. They were full of discovery. Each sound was new. Each meaning profound. The gods watched them from their lofty perch. They observed with quiet pride. Odin smiled gently. His eye twinkled. Vili nodded slowly. Ve's face softened. Their creation was thriving. They saw Ask and Imblad's joy. They heard their first words, simple yet deeply meaningful. They saw their curiosity, their wonder at the world. It was a beautiful sight, a testament to their work. Odin felt a warmth. It spread through his being. He had given them breath. Vili had given them life. Ve had given them form. Now they were truly living. They were experiencing. They saw Ask touch the tree. They saw Imblad touch the flower. They saw them drink from the stream. Each interaction was precious. Each moment a new beginning. They were learning. They were growing. Ask stood up. He stretched his limbs. He felt the strength within him. He looked at Imblad. What else? He asked. His voice was eager. A thirst for knowledge. A desire to know more. Imblad rose too. Her eyes shone. Many things, she replied. So many things to see. Her heart was full of gratitude, full of excitement. This journey was just beginning. They walked further along the stream. The path was soft. Little pebbles crunched underfoot. They noticed the different sounds, the rustle of leaves, the hum of insects, the gentle murmur of the water. Ask bent down. He picked up a smooth stone. It was cool in his hand. He turned it over. Its surface was polished. He felt its weight. Stone, he named it. Hard. Imblad took it from him. She felt its smoothness. She admired its shape. Smooth, she agreed, like the water. She held it up. The light reflected off it. It sparkled faintly. They saw a tall, slender plant. Its stem was green. Its leaves were long. They swayed in the breeze. Ask reached out. He touched a leaf. It felt delicate. Leaf, he said, soft. Imblad plucked a small berry. It was red and round. She held it to her nose. A faint, sweet smell. She tasted it tentatively. It was delicious. Sweet, she exclaimed. Taste this. Ask took the berry. He tasted it too, a burst of flavor. It was a new sensation. He savored it. Good, he said. Very good. Their senses were alive. They were discovering flavors. They continued their walk. They found a small clearing. Sunlight streamed in. It illuminated the space. A patch of soft moss. It covered the ground. They sat down together. The moss was cool and yielding. It felt like a gentle cushion. They lay back. They looked up at the sky. The clouds drifted slowly. They formed shifting shapes. What are they? Ask asked. He pointed at a cloud. It looked like a giant bird, soaring through the blue. Embla pondered. Dreams, she suggested, of the sky. Ask liked that idea. Dreams of the sky. It felt right. The clouds were fleeting, like thoughts, like possibilities. He closed his eyes for a moment. He imagined soaring. Embla reached for his hand. She held it gently. Their fingers intertwined. A sense of connection. A quiet comfort. They were not alone. They had each other. The gods watched this too. The simple gesture, the shared moment. It filled them with contentment. Their creations were forming bonds. Bonds of understanding. Bonds of companionship. Odin felt a deep peace. His work was good. Vili felt pride. Ve felt satisfaction. They had given them life. Now they were embracing it. They were building. Ask opened his eyes. He looked at Embla. Thank you, he said. His voice was soft, full of sincerity. For what? He wasn't sure. For everything. For being here. Embla smiled. Her eyes were warm. Thank you, she replied. Her heart swelled with a feeling of immense gratitude for the world, for their existence, for Ask. They lay there for a long time, just being, just breathing, absorbing the world, letting its beauty wash over them. The sounds, the sights, the smells, all new, all wonderful. The sun began to dip lower. The light softened. Long shadows stretched across the clearing. A gentle coolness descended. The air grew crisp. The sounds of the forest changed. A nightingale began to sing. Its melody was pure. It echoed through the trees. A lullaby, perhaps, to usher in the night. Ask listened intently. Listen, he whispered. Embla closed her eyes. She let the song wash over her. It was so beautiful. It filled her with peace, a sense of calm, a deep tranquility. It sings, she said. They watched the first stars appear, tiny pinpricks of light against the darkening sky. They sparkled brightly, like scattered diamonds, a breathtaking display. Stars, Ask named them. His voice was hushed, full of reverence. He had never seen such majesty. Embla nodded slowly. Like tiny fires, she murmured, in the sky. They stayed there, until the sky was fully dark, until the stars shone brightly, until the moon rose, a pale, luminous orb. It cast a gentle glow over the land. They felt no fear, only wonder, only peace. This new world, it was a place of endless discovery, a place of beauty, a place of belonging. They felt safe. Ask yawned softly. A gentle tiredness. It settled over him. After a day of new experiences, he felt content. And Blas snuggled closer. Her head rested on his shoulder. They drifted into sleep. A peaceful slumber under the vast sky, beneath the shining stars. Their dreams would be full of the day's wonders, full of new beginnings. The gods continued to watch as their creations slept. Their chests rose and fell in rhythmic breaths. They were safe. They were loved. They were home. Odin felt a profound satisfaction. Their purpose was clear: to nurture these lives, to guide them gently. Vili felt a quiet joy. Ve felt a deep peace. The world slept too. The trees rustled softly. The stream babbled on. The nightingale sang its last notes. All was calm. All was well. A new age had begun. Ask and Emblas slept soundly. Their minds rested. Their bodies recuperated, ready for another day. Another day of discovery. Another day of learning. Another day of life. The air was cool now. A gentle breeze. It rustled the leaves. A soft whisper of promises, of futures, of endless possibilities waiting to unfold. They were the first humans, the first to walk, the first to speak, the first to truly see. The world given to them, a gift to cherish, to explore, to live. The gods remained, their vigil unbroken, their love constant, watching over their children, guiding them from afar, with gentle nudges, with quiet blessings. The moon rose higher. Its light bathed the land in a soft, silvery glow. The stars twinkled on, silent witnesses to the dawn of humanity, to the first steps, to the first words. Ask stirred slightly. A soft sigh escaped him. He was dreaming now of open fields, of flowing water, of the vast blue sky, and the gentle hand of Emblas. Emblas smiled in her sleep, a quiet contentment. She dreamt of flowers, of their sweet scent, of the warmth of the sun, of the sound of Ask's voice. Their journey had just begun. A long, winding path, full of lessons, full of joy, full of challenges, but they would face it together, hand in hand, heart to heart. The gods knew this. They saw the future. They saw the potential within these two beings, the spark of humanity, ready to ignite, ready to flourish. The night deepened. The world was still, a profound silence, broken only by nature's breath and the soft slumber of Ask and Emblas, the first humans, awaking to life, awaking to love. Odin's gaze softened. A gentle warmth filled the air. He looked from Ask to Emblas, then back again. His voice, a low rumble, resonated with ancient wisdom. "Children," he began, "this world holds many wonders. It is a place of light and shadow," he continued. of growth and quiet stillness. Freya stepped forward, her eyes sparkling like distant stars. "You will know the sun's embrace," she said, her voice a soft melody. "It brings warmth and bright new dawns. Each morning it will rise," she explained, painting the sky with vibrant hues. Ask looked up, imagining the radiant orb. Embla felt a quiet stirring of wonder within her heart. "And when the sun descends," Freya continued, "the moon will grace the heavens. It is a beacon in the darkness," she whispered, "a gentle guide through the night." Thor, ever practical, added his own booming voice. "The sun provides sustenance," he declared, "for the crops and the mighty trees. The moon offers quiet reflection," he added, "and aids the nocturnal creatures." Loki, ever the trickster, offered a wry smile. "Day and night," he mused, "a cosmic dance, endlessly repeating." He observed their expressions, noting their absorption. "Each brings its own purpose," he stated, "a rhythm for your lives." Ask nodded slowly, absorbing these profound truths. Embla felt a sense of order settling within her. "There are also the seasons," Odin interjected, his voice deep and resonant. "Spring brings new life," he explained, "a time of vibrant green shoots." He gestured broadly, encompassing the verdant landscape. "Summer offers abundant growth," Freya added, "a season of warmth and playful breezes. The fields will ripen," she mused, "and the forests will flourish." Thor spoke of autumn, his voice tinged with a touch of melancholy. "Autumn brings the harvest," he boomed, "a time for gathering and preparation. The leaves will turn to gold," he added, "then crimson, then brown." Loki, with a mischievous glint in his eye, spoke of winter. "Winter brings quiet slumber," he declared, "a time for rest and inner stillness. The world will be blanketed in white," he continued, "a sparkling, silent canvas." Ask and Embla listened intently, their minds painting vivid pictures. They began to grasp the intricate cycles of their new home. Odin's gaze became more serious, yet still infinitely kind. "Life in Midgard," he stated, "will present both joy and challenge." He paused, allowing his words to sink in. "You will know happiness," Freya assured them, "laughter and deep contentment." Her smile was as radiant as the dawn itself. "You will also face hardship," Thor added, his voice firm but reassuring. "There will be moments of struggle," he rumbled, "and quiet sorrow." Loki's expression was uncharacteristically sober. "These experiences," he said softly, "will shape who you become. They are threads in the tapestry," he continued, "of your unique existence." Ask looked at Embla, a shared understanding passing between them. They felt a sense of anticipation, a readiness for whatever lay ahead. Odin stepped closer, his presence radiating immense power and wisdom. "Remember the importance of growth," he advised, his voice gentle. "Like the trees, you will reach for the light." He paused, allowing his words to echo. "You will change," Freya added, "evolving with each passing season. Embrace these transformations," she encouraged. for they are natural. Thor nodded in agreement, his massive form a pillar of strength. Learn from your experiences, he urged, both the triumphs and the trials. Wisdom is gained through living, Loki concluded, his tone surprisingly earnest. It is not simply given, he added, but earned through effort. Ask felt a surge of determination, a desire to learn and to grow. Embla felt a quiet strength blossoming within her heart. Odin raised his hand, a soft golden light emanating from his palm. Before we depart, he announced, we bestow upon you a final blessing. Freya joined him, her hands outstretched, a shimmering aura surrounding her. A blessing of resilience, she whispered, to weather life's storms. May your spirits remain strong, she continued, unbroken by adversity. Thor's hand joined theirs, a surge of raw energy filling the air. And a blessing of wisdom, he boomed, to guide your every step. May you always choose wisely, he added, with clear minds and true hearts. Loki, surprisingly, placed his hand atop theirs, a faint, almost imperceptible warmth. May you find your own paths, he said, his voice unusually sincere. And may curiosity ever be your companion, he added, a hint of his usual mischief returning. A gentle warmth enveloped Ask and Embla, seeping into their very beings. It was a feeling of profound peace and inner strength. They felt connected, anchored to this new world. The gods slowly withdrew their hands, the golden light fading. Odin's gaze lingered on them, a profound love shining in his eye. Our time here is complete, he stated, his voice tinged with a quiet finality. Freya stepped back, a wistful smile gracing her lips. The time has come, she whispered, for you to forge your own way. Thor gave a final, approving nod, his presence still immense. Live well, children, he boomed, and thrive in this beautiful world. Loki offered a small, almost imperceptible bow. Farewell, mortals, he said, a rare sincerity in his tone. The air around the gods began to shimmer, distorting slightly. A soft, ethereal glow enveloped them, growing brighter with each passing moment. Ask watched, a lump forming in his throat. Embla felt a pang of sadness, a quiet longing. They had only known these powerful beings for a short time. Yet, a deep bond had formed, forged in the crucible of creation. The glow intensified, becoming almost blinding. The forms of Odin, Freya, Thor, and Loki began to blur. They seemed to dissolve into pure light. Then, with a final, gentle pulse, they were gone. The light vanished, leaving only the soft morning sun. A profound silence settled over the clearing. Ask and Embla stood alone, bathed in the pale light of dawn. The world felt vast, immense, and profoundly quiet. They were truly alone now. The air, once vibrant with divine presence, felt subtly different. A new chapter had begun, one of self-discovery and independent existence. Ask looked at Embla, his eyes wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation. She met his gaze, a quiet strength in her own. A gentle breeze rustled through the leaves overhead. Birds chirped in the distance, their songs a familiar melody. The river flowed onward, its murmur a soothing constant. This was their world now, to shape and to cherish. Ask took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the crisp air. He felt the earth beneath his bare feet, solid and welcoming. Embla reached out, her hand finding his. Their fingers intertwined, a silent promise of companionship. They were two, but together they were strong. The sun climbed higher, warming their faces. Its rays dappled through the canopy, painting patterns on the forest floor. They looked around, truly seeing their surroundings for the first time. The trees stood tall and ancient, their branches reaching for the sky. Flowers bloomed in vibrant hues, their petals unfurling in the light. A tiny beetle scuttled across a mossy rock, intent on its journey. Every detail seemed sharper, more vivid. The world hummed with a quiet energy, a living, breathing entity. There was so much to explore, so much to learn. Ask felt a flicker of excitement, pushing past the lingering sadness. Embla's grip on his hand tightened slightly. She too felt a stirring of anticipation. The gods had given them life, and now they had given them freedom. The freedom to choose, to experience, to become. It was a daunting prospect, yet also exhilarating. They took a tentative step forward, then another. Their feet carried them deeper into the forest, away from the clearing. Each step was a discovery, a new sensation. The ground beneath them was soft with fallen leaves. A tiny stream gurgled nearby, inviting them closer. They bent down, cupping their hands to drink the cool, clear water. It tasted pure, invigorating, a taste of life itself. Ask looked at his reflection in the water, then at Embla's. They were different, yet undeniably connected. They were the first, the pioneers of humanity. The forest embraced them, its ancient trees whispering secrets. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow. They walked in comfortable silence, absorbing the beauty around them. Every rustle of leaves, every birdsong was a new sound. Every scent was a new experience. The rich earth, the fragrant blossoms. They touched the rough bark of a tree, feeling its texture. They watched a butterfly flit from flower to flower, its wings a kaleidoscope of color. The world was alive, vibrant, and waiting. They understood now what the gods had meant. Life was a journey, full of both wonder and challenges. They would stumble, they would learn, they would grow, and they would do it together, side by side. The quiet of the forest was comforting, not lonely. It was a vast canvas, ready for their story to unfold. Ask felt a deep sense of gratitude, a profound appreciation. Embla felt a quiet joy blooming within her chest. The gods had departed, but their wisdom remained. Their blessings resonated in their very souls. They were ready for the sun's embrace, for the moon's gentle light, ready for the changing seasons, for the ebb and flow of life, ready for the joys and the sorrows, the triumphs and the trials. They were human, and they were beginning. The forest stretched out before them, an endless expanse. Each tree, each stone, held a silent story. They felt a sense of belonging, an innate connection to this world. It was their home, now and forever. They walked on, their steps growing more confident. The path ahead was unknown, but their hearts were full. The air was sweet with the scent of pine and damp earth. A gentle breeze sighed through the branches, a lullaby. The leaves rustled, a soft, continuous murmur. They held hands, their fingers intertwined. This simple gesture was a powerful bond. It spoke of companionship, of shared journeys. They would face everything together as the first humans. The sun continued its climb, casting long, golden rays. The forest awoke fully, alive with the sounds of nature. Birds sang their morning chorus. A distant waterfall thundered softly, a constant presence. They paused by a cluster of wild berries, their red jewels glistening. Ask reached out, plucking one carefully. He offered it to Imbla, a silent gesture of care. She took it, her smile radiant. They ate the berries, their sweetness a delight. This world provided, if one knew how to look. The gods had taught them to observe, to appreciate. They felt a deep connection to the earth, to its rhythms. It was a profound understanding, born of their creation. They walked for what felt like hours, exploring their new domain. Every turn brought a new sight, a new wonder. They discovered a hidden grove, bathed in soft light. Moss-covered stones invited them to rest. They sat down, leaning against each other. The silence here was profound, broken only by birdsong. It was a moment of peace, of quiet reflection. Ask looked at Imbla, his heart full. She looked at him, her eyes mirroring his emotion. They were pioneers, embarking on an incredible journey. Their purpose was clear: to live, to learn, to grow, to cherish this world, to honor the lessons learned. The sun moved across the sky, marking the passage of time. They felt a natural rhythm beginning to guide them. Day and night, sun and moon, the seasons. They were part of it all, intertwined with the very fabric of Midgard. The gods were gone, but their presence lingered, not as physical forms, but as whispers of wisdom, as the very essence of creation itself. Ask closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the warmth of the sun. Imbla rested her head on his shoulder, a sigh of contentment. They were ready for whatever came next. The world awaited their story, and they, the first humans, were ready to tell it. This was their beginning, a fresh start, a new dawn for humanity. The gods had departed, their shimmering forms faded. Ask and Imbla stood alone. A soft breeze rustled nearby leaves. Silence settled, profound and deep. They looked at each other then. A new understanding passed between them. No longer were they mere creations. They were now beings, complete, and independent. The world stretched out before them, vast and unknown. And Blad took Ask's hand. Her fingers were warm, reassuring. "Where do we begin?" she whispered. Her voice was soft, a little tremulous. Ask squeezed her hand gently. "We begin here," he said. He gestured around them. "With what we have." The sun began its slow descent. Golden light bathed the forest. Long shadows stretched across the forest floor. A chill began to creep into the air. "We need shelter," Imbla observed. She shivered slightly. The god's warmth had vanished. Ask nodded. He scanned the surrounding trees. A large, ancient oak stood nearby. Its branches spread wide, like welcoming arms. "Perhaps there," he suggested. He pointed towards the oak. Its trunk was thick, gnarled with age. They walked towards it, their steps tentative. The ground was soft beneath their feet. Fallen leaves cushioned their tread. A gentle rustling sound accompanied them. Beneath the oak, a natural hollow formed. It was shadowed, protected from the wind. Moss grew thickly on the ground. A perfect, small alcove. "This will do," Imbla said. She knelt down. Her hand brushed the soft moss. It felt surprisingly warm. Ask gathered fallen branches. He arranged them around the opening. They formed a crude but effective barrier. It would keep out the night chill. As darkness deepened, the forest sounds emerged. The hoot of an owl echoed. Crickets chirped their nightly chorus. The air grew cooler still. They sat close together. The hollow felt safe, enclosed. A sense of peace settled over them. They were home for now. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the leaves. It dappled the forest floor. Birds sang their morning songs. The world awoke around them. "We need food," Ask stated. His stomach rumbled faintly. The gods had sustained them before. Now they were on their own. Imbla rose. She looked around with curious eyes. The forest teemed with life. Berries grew on low bushes. Roots pushed up from the earth. "Look," she said, pointing. A cluster of red berries gleamed. They looked plump and inviting. Ask approached cautiously. He sniffed one berry. It smelled sweet, earthy. He remembered the gods' lessons. They had shown him edible plants. He plucked a few. He offered them to Imbla. She took one, hesitated, then bit into it. A smile spread across her face. "Sweet," she murmured, "and juicy." They ate the berries, sharing them. They were small but nourishing. They spent the day exploring. They found more berries. They discovered edible roots. They learned to distinguish safe plants from harmful ones. It was a slow, careful process. Ask observed the animals. He watched how deer grazed. He saw squirrels gather nuts. He learned from their instincts. The forest was their teacher. Imbla listened to the sounds. She learned the birds' calls. She recognized the rustle of hidden creatures. Her senses sharpened. The world spoke to her. They built a small fire that evening. Ask had discovered how to rub sticks together. Smoke curled upwards, thin and wispy. The flames danced, casting flickering light. The fire provided warmth. It kept away unseen things. It offered comfort in the vast wilderness. They sat beside it, mesmerized. The gods gave us so much, Imbla mused. Her eyes reflected the firelight. But they also gave us ourselves. Ask nodded. And this, he said, he gestured to the fire, the ability to create. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. They learned the rhythms of Midgard, the changing seasons, the ebb and flow of life. They discovered a clear stream. Its water was cool and pure. They drank from it daily. They bathed in its refreshing embrace. Ask learned to fashion tools. He sharpened stones into blades. He carved wood into handles. He made spears for hunting. He made digging sticks for roots. Imbla learned to weave. She gathered strong grasses. She braided them into baskets. She used them to carry their bounty. She wove soft mats for sleeping. They spoke often. They shared their observations. They discussed their fears. They celebrated their small victories. Their bond deepened with each passing day. One day, Ask found a patch of wild grain. It grew in tall, golden stalks. He remembered how the gods had spoken of seeds. They had hinted at future harvests. What if we could grow this? He asked Imbla. He held a few grains in his palm. They were tiny, promising. Imbla's eyes widened. Like the gods showed us, she wondered, to plant for tomorrow. They found a small, fertile clearing. It was bathed in sunlight. The soil was rich and dark. They carefully prepared the ground. Ask used a digging stick. He broke up the earth. Imbla dropped the tiny seeds. She covered them gently with soil. It was an act of faith, a belief in the future. They watered the patch daily. They watched it with anticipation. Slowly, tiny green shoots emerged. They pushed through the earth. They reached for the sun. A miracle unfolded before their eyes. They grow, Imbla exclaimed. Her voice was filled with wonder. They really grow. Ask felt a surge of pride, a profound satisfaction. They were not just surviving. They were shaping their world. They continued to plant. They sowed more grain. They planted edible roots. Their small garden began to flourish. It was the first human farm. Their shelter grew too. They used stronger branches. They wove thicker walls. It became a sturdy, comfortable dwelling. A true home. They named their home. They called it Askheim. It meant Ask's home. But it was Imbla's home too. A shared space built together. They explored further. They discovered new forests. They found open plains. They saw towering mountains. The world was immense. They encountered other creatures. Some were shy. Some were curious. Some were dangerous. They learned respect for all life. Ask learned patience. He learned perseverance. He learned the wisdom of the earth. It provided for them if they understood its ways. Imbla learned compassion. She learned empathy. she understood the interconnectedness of things. Every plant, every animal had its place. They often spoke of the gods. They remembered their kindness. They recalled their guidance. The gods had given them the spark, but humanity, they realized, was their own fire. It burned within them. It fueled their efforts. It guided their path. They knew they were alone. Yet they were not lonely. They had each other. They had the world. They had their own ingenuity. One evening, they sat by their fire. The flames crackled softly. The stars glittered overhead. The air was cool and still. Embla leaned her head on Ask's shoulder. "Do you think," she began, her voice thoughtful, "that others will come?" Ask looked up at the vast sky. "Perhaps," he said, "if we grow, if we flourish." He thought of the seeds they planted, the promise of new life, the potential for abundance. They were the first seeds of humanity. They were building a foundation, a tiny, humble beginning, for generations yet to come, for all who would follow. The world was waiting. It held endless possibilities for discovery, for creation, for growth. They had started with nothing, just the breath of life, the spark of intellect, the gift of emotion, and they had built from the ground up, with their hands, with their minds, with their hearts. The legacy of the gods was not just in their form. It was in their spirit, their capacity to learn, their desire to build. The first humans, Ask and Embla, they were pioneers, they were dreamers, they were the dawn. Their journey had just begun. A long, winding path, filled with challenges, filled with triumphs. They would face hardships. They would know sorrow, but they would also know joy. They would know love. They would know hope. They looked at their small home, the growing garden, the flickering fire, a testament to their resilience. The air smelled of wood smoke and fresh earth and possibility. It was the scent of a new age. They held hands again, their fingers intertwined, a silent promise to face the future together. The human story had truly begun, not with grand pronouncements, but with quiet, determined steps, with the planting of a seed, with the building of a fire, with the whisper of a shared dream. The world would be shaped by them and by their descendants, by the choices they made, by the lives they lived. The stars above seemed to wink, as if in approval. The moon cast its gentle glow, a silent blessing. Ask and Embla, the first, the origin, the beginning of everything. They closed their eyes, drifting into sleep, secure in their makeshift home, secure in their shared purpose. The breath of life filled them. The warmth of the fire embraced them. The promise of tomorrow awaited them. They were home. They were human. They were hope. The journey continued, even in their dreams. The world was vast, but no longer fearsome. It was a canvas, ready for their touch, ready for their mark. And as they slept, the seeds in their garden rested too, waiting for the morning sun, waiting for their turn to rise, just like humanity itself. poised for its awakening, poised for its grand, unfolding story. The gentle rhythm of their breathing filled the hollow. A soft, steady beat, the heartbeat of a new world. The night deepened, the stars shone brighter, and the first humans slept soundly, dreaming of all that was yet to be. Their legacy, a quiet whisper, a testament to creation, a promise of growth, the eternal human journey. They were the dawn, and the world awaited their waking, to begin again, to build anew, to live. The wind sighed through the tree branches, a lullaby for the ages, a song of beginnings, a song of life. The story concluded, yet it truly began, with Ask and Embla, the first humans, the endless dream. They had found their place. They had found their purpose. They had found each other. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The universe, vast and silent, watched over them, their gentle slumber. And so the world turned, and life continued, and humanity began its long, wondrous walk, forever grateful for the breath, forever grateful for the spark, forever grateful for the journey. A gentle sigh escaped Embla's lips, a peaceful sound, a sound of contented rest. Ask shifted slightly, his arm tightened around her, a protective gesture, a loving embrace. The fire dwindled to embers, glowing softly, a beacon in the darkness, a symbol of their enduring light. The night air grew crisp. The forest settled into quietude. All was still. All was peaceful. And the first humans slept, ready for the dawn, ready for tomorrow, ready for their unfolding destiny. The story was complete, yet it continued. In every sunrise, in every breath, in every beating heart. If these whispers brought you rest, you're welcome to subscribe for more calm tales. A gentle, like also guides fellow night owls here.